Maggie Murphy. I have been a teacher for a long time, longer than you've even been alive. And it's my very favorite thing to do. I am working right now as a coach and getting ready to transition into a global company, which is really cool because you guys are such global citizens already. So I can't wait to talk today and tell you a little bit about coaching and a little bit about my teaching experience and just meet all of you. I can't wait to meet you. So thank you for being here.
I am Surya, an 8th grader from Z.P.H.S Ilavaram. Can I ask a question?
I would love it.
Which one you enjoyed teaching, primary or secondary?
Oh, that's a really great question. And it's really hard for me to answer, but I'll tell you what I love about each one. So, when I taught fourth and fifth grade, I love that the students were still really excited about school and they were so sweet that they would write all kinds of notes and give me lots of hugs during the day. And they were just like really excited to be in my classroom. And then when I taught middle school, which is here, it's called sixth, seventh, and eighth grade is middle school. And I see some of you are in seventh grade. So that would be you guys. The thing that I was most impressed with seventh graders and eighth graders was their ability to do things that surprised me or impressed me. So I would give them an assignment and then they would absolutely just exceed all my expectations and do these amazing things. One time we did global projects and they sent care packages all around the world and they did a food drive and they did a community garden and they raised money for children in the hospital. Like it was just so cool and it exceeded all my expectations. So I think I really like that age group because they're just so smart and they can do so many things. And I really loved it. I built really good relationships and they understood kind of my sarcasm and my sense of humor. And it was just really fun to teach sixth, seventh, and eighth graders.
What makes a good coach teacher?
Oh, thank you, Hushnia. That's a beautiful name. I think coaching is just about being sweet to people and being kind. And then once you build a really good relationship with them and they trust you, then you can kind of offer suggestions. And so I just really enjoy getting to know people and working with teachers because teachers are so important. And I know sometimes it's hard for you to see at your age, but as you go through your education, you're going to have really great teachers and you're going to have some that you don't like very much. And I just always wanted to be the one that all my students really liked, but also that they learned a lot from, right? And so I think to be a coach, you have to remember those things and you just have to want the best for the students because I want the best for all of you. Even though we've just met today, I want to know like what you want to do with when you grow up and how you're going to make the world better and all the things that you're going to accomplish. So I just love students, which means I have to love the teachers too.
Thank you.
One more time.
What is the goal of teacher coaching?
Okay, so the goal of teacher coaching, that's a really good question. The goal for coaching is to make all the teachers better so that they can be better for their students. And so the past 2 years, I've been working with beginning teachers, like it's their very first year or their second year, and they don't know what they're doing, right? Like they went to school for 4 years and they were supposed to learn everything about teaching, but it's really hard to learn everything about teaching in just 4 years. And so I would go into their classrooms and help them with things to make them better for their students. And so sometimes they weren't sure how to teach a lesson or they weren't sure what the standards meant. So we have these set of standards that we have to go by, and then we have to try to get the kids to that place. And so I would go in and just have classroom visits with them and just give them advice. Like, this is something you're really good at, but this is a way that we could get even better. And so the goal of teacher coaching is for the students to have the very best experience in that grade level. Like you all have an amazing teacher that offers you all of these opportunities and brings in all these people to talk to you. And a lot of teachers don't do that. So if I could work with a teacher and say, hey, I have this really cool idea. Why don't you Zoom with people from all around the world? Then that would make everything better for the kids, right? Like you enjoy this, don't you? To meet new people and talk to different people?
They definitely enjoy a lot because every day they have a new experience interacting with an African teacher, European teacher, American teacher, Australian teacher, all continents. They are covering all continents almost.
That's amazing.
Yes.
I didn't even learn all about the continents until I was a grown up. I mean, we just kind of knew they were there, but no one ever told us about them. And you're getting firsthand account from everywhere.
Yes, luckily, I think we are so fortunate to have a global network of teachers. So, Maggie, I have a question related to the teaching training sessions.
Yeah.
So in India, as a future teacher, I think they are allowed to teach a few schools, a few lessons as a part of their training sessions,
Yes.
as a part of their program. So, would you allow the teachers to teach in schools as a part of your program? If you allow, how many times you allow them to teach? So would you allow them to teach as per their potentiality, and would you give them any suggestions, and how many times you allow them to teach like that?
They're great questions. So I don't work with the teacher until after the teacher has graduated and they're in the classroom. But while they're in school at a university, they have 3 internships. So the first one is called block 1 and they just watch. The second one is called block 2 and they're more of like a teacher assistant. And then the third one is student teaching, which means they take over the class. So they come in and for the first maybe 4 weeks they watch and help, and then the last 4 weeks they teach like it's their classroom even though it's not, and the main teacher stays in there with them. So then they graduate and they go to their own school, their own classroom, and then I go in and visit every single week. And so they see me once a week and we Zoom or talk if we need to extra than that. But I am there with them at least once a week to help them get settled and get started. Hello, Radhika. I love your name too. It's beautiful.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
Good evening. I'm so glad to meet you. And your hair is also very pretty.
My name is Radhika. I'm 7th grader from Z.P.H.S Ilavaram. Can I ask you a question, ma'am?
Yes.
Could you please tell us the English language arts?
English language arts is just a fancy way for us to say that we're going to learn about reading and writing and grammar. So that's kind of the big 3 things. So we read informational text, which is true, of course, and then we read fiction, which is not true, and then we learn how sentence structure works and how to write. And then this is my daughter Nellie. She's coming in to say hello, and then she's got to go.
Hello, good morning. Nice to
And
meet you.
thank you. Say nice to meet you also.
Nice to meet you too.
And so writing and reading are the biggest parts of English language arts for us. Is that how it works there? You I know you have different languages.
Yes, it's a different combination, in fact. So English language arts is a different combination. We have never heard and we have never even seen in any one of the schools located in India. That's
Meet you.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
I'm doing well. I hope you are. Are you having a good day?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Subramanya Srinivas, a 7th grade student from Z.P.H School, Ilavaram. I would like to ask a question. Can I ask, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
How was your experience teaching social studies?
Oh, I would teach anything, to be honest. Like I love all the subjects and I just love teaching. That's the bottom line. But social studies is really neat because we get to learn about the world. And so that's where I really, really enjoy teaching about things outside of my students' experiences. And so I'm from a very small rural town, which means like we don't have a big city nearby. We don't have a lot of opportunities for students to see outside of just where we live. And so I think it was really important for my students to understand the world around them. And social studies in America is really hard because our history is not very good. Like we've done a lot of really terrible things to the people that have lived here. And so it was hard for me to teach that in a lot of ways. Bye, I love you. But it was really important for my students to understand how we formed as a country and the things that we had to go through as a country to get to where we are now. So I enjoyed teaching, but it was also a hard topic. Does that answer your question?
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
So, Maggie, I have heard that in America, especially you have 50 states. Each state has its history. So, your students study the history of your state as a part of the social studies? That's what I heard.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So every grade level has a different curriculum. And so, like, for instance, in first grade, they learn just about the community they live in. Then when they get to, say, fourth grade, we learn all about just North Carolina, and then which is the state that I live in. And then in fifth grade, it goes to U.S. history, which is all 50 states. And then when you get to seventh grade, you're learning about Asia and Europe. And then when you get to eighth grade, it's back to United States history, but it's all of the kind of the hard stuff to talk about, slavery and the Indian Removal Act and some really tough conversations. And then when you get into high school, you have different kinds of civics, or again, you have American history if you want to take it. So it's kind of broken apart by grade level and by the state that you live in.
So I'm curious to ask this question. Is there any Indian related history in your history books? If there is
There
any,
is
which one?
not
No?
enough. We want to know more. But it is, we definitely teach by regions and by different areas. And so it is in there, but not enough. We need
Okay.
you to come teach us. That's what we need.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Hello.
How are you, ma'am?
I'm doing well. I hope you are. Are you having a good day today?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Dikshit. I'm a 7th grader. Would you allow me to ask my question, ma'am?
Yes.
How long is teacher's training?
That's a great question, sir. We have different options for training, and right now they're trying to even give different ways for people to be able to become teachers, because we have a teacher shortage in America. I don't know if you have one there or not. And so the usual way, like the way that most people have training, is for 4 years. You go to university for 4 years. But then there's also ways that you can add on degrees. So I went for 4 years, and then I taught for 3 years, and then I took some classes online like we're doing right now, kind of just on Zoom and things. And then I got my master's degree, which took another 2 years. So you can spend lots and lots of years learning about teaching, but you have to have 4 years to get started.
Okay.
Thank you for that question. That was a very good question.
So Maggie, what are the main areas that you focus while you are training the upcoming teachers? This 21st century needs the teachers that should meet the 21st century requirements.
Yes,
So
sir. Right.
in this technology era, I think teachers should be equipped with 21st century needs. Please go ahead.
And what I've learned about new teachers is they're way better at technology than we are, right? So we've had to learn it as we go, and they just know it. Like they were born with it. So they just, like, these students, I bet, are probably amazing at technology.
Absolutely.
And so the new teachers just pick it up and they can teach me things. But the main things that I work on is instruction, well, it's planning first, planning and then instruction and then assessments. And so those are our three big pillars that I work on when I work with teachers. But I think you're right that 21st century skills are so important. And we've been developing some competencies, and I would love to send those to you because you would love to look at them, that get our students ready and our teachers ready for the future, or for 21st century skills, or 22nd century, whenever whatever we're working towards.
Yes. You have been teachers trainer, a teacher coach for over years. So have you ever thought that there should be something that should be incorporated in the American education system? It should be something, it should be included in the American education system so that students and the teachers can perform well. Is there something that you have in mind to be included, incorporated in the American education system?
So I'm getting ready to start with a company called Participate Learning, and Participate Learning is a global education company. And so they have all of these frameworks and programs and ideas of ways that we can show students about the world as they learn. And it makes such a difference. The kids are so much more engaged. They really want to learn that way instead of the way we've always taught them, which is like the teacher gets to say what happens, the teacher plans everything. This is very much like student driven by curiosity, which I think is a shift that we need to make in America. We also need to get away from so much standardized testing, because all we do, we have so much testing. And it's not testing that helps our students grow. It's just a score. So if we had an opportunity to work with them after they take the test and look at what they missed, but we don't even ever get to see the test again. So that to me feels like a waste of time. So if I could change two things really fast, I would put in more global education and I would take out some of the testing.
In 2022, I have been to USA as a part of Fulbright exchange program.
Oh,
Yes,
congratulations. Fulbright is a big deal.
yes. I visited one of the middle schools located in Arkansas. So I came to know a few interesting facts that some students' behaviorism is, I think I was a bit annoyed with their behavior and the way that they behaved with the teachers. It was something that I felt really sad at the time. Do you think that behaviorism is something that needs to be taken seriously as far as the American education is concerned? And I also heard that many American teachers are quitting the jobs because of this issue.
You're
One of my
exactly
teacher working in Indianapolis, she often narrated her bad experiences in the classroom. So many times she felt that she would quit the job, but for her very survival, she had to continue. Could you please tell us something about this?
Yeah, I would be glad to. So the first thing that I noticed about your students, and I want to brag on you, on all of you, you are so polite and you are so well spoken, and you are just a million miles above the kids here. And they I think it's a long-term problem that's been happening for a while. And once it starts, it just snowballs and it just continues to happen. And so a lot of schools are really struggling with how to contain that behavior. And it's embarrassing. Like, as a country, it's embarrassing that we have so many problems in our schools, that we have things that are happening that should never happen in a school. And so I do think it's leading to some of the teachers leaving. But I would just encourage you all to continue to have such beautiful manners and speak in such a kind way to both your classmates and the adults in the room. I think it's really impressive.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And here is another question. In American education system, do you think that the good manners is one of the subjects that needs to be taught to the students on regular basis, so that the students can learn something, that how to deal with the teachers, how to deal with their parents, or something like that?
Yeah, so I always told my students when they came into my classroom that it's fine with me if you don't know how to read when you leave here. It's really not, but I was exaggerating. It's fine with me if you don't know how to leave or to read when you leave, but you will be nice. You will be nice to each other. You will be nice to me. We're going to have this classroom of kindness. And if you don't learn anything else, that's what you're going to learn. Like, we were the only classroom that would go into the cafeteria and say please and thank you. I mean, it matters. It matters so much. And so I would joke with my kids about that, but of course they learned.
Yes. In America, I think is growing not at the rapid speed like India, but it is also growing. So in order to meet these growing needs of education in America, I think you do to need many teachers, in fact. So when the teachers, basing on the behaviorism, they just don't want to opt the profession of teaching. And so definitely there is a huge shortage in the teaching arena. So how would the government fill this gap of teacher and students ratio if this situation continues in future?
So in my state in North Carolina, the government is trying to make it easier to become a teacher, which is not very smart, but I understand why they're having to do it, right? And so, for instance, this year I had 40 beginning teachers and 17 of them, I think, have never taught before or been to school to teach. And so they went to school for something else. And then they got a phone call that was like, hey, we don't have a 7th grade math teacher. Would you want to do it? And they're like, yeah, I'll try it for a year. And so they've never written a lesson plan. They've never been around children. And I would love to hear what your students think about that. Like, would you like to have a teacher that has never been trained to be a
No, no,
teacher? Can you
never,
imagine?
never, never.
So we're
Yes,
just putting bodies in classrooms at this point and just hoping it goes well, which is pretty scary.
absolutely.
So here's what I want you to know. I want you to know that you can absolutely change the world and make it a better place. And your teacher is amazing and is going to help you in all the steps of that path. Okay. So when you keep learning and keep working hard, and as you get older and older, you are going to come up with just the perfect way to make the world better.